A very good morning to everyone joining us today for Live at the Waterhole. We have started over in Old Donyo in Kenya with some very impressive elephant tuskers. We've also got male giraffe who's very patiently waiting for his opportunity to come down to the waterhole for a drink. My name is Kerry Dupree and I will be joining you today as your host. We're very excited to get out there and see what else we can find across our locations. Just a reminder, folks, that this is a live and interactive experience, so please feel free to share any questions and comments you might have. Just send them our way. Oh, we've also got a little family of warthogs that have decided to also come down to the waterhole this morning to come and have a drink. Very brave warthogs coming down to drink with these very big elephant bulls. Hogging the waterhole indeed. Yesterday we were chatting about what our preferred snacks are while watching Live at the Waterhole. I just had a cup of tea and a peanut butter and jam sandwich. Delicious. It's my snack of the day just before Live at the Waterhole, so I'd love to hear from our viewers. What beverage of choice have you decided to sit with today while watching us here live at the waterhole? If not, then you should go and put that kettle on and make yourself a cup of tea. I think I've had quite a few very warm days or weeks over in Gauteng province of South Africa. Not too much rain, but thank goodness we finally had a little bit of rainfall this morning. The street lights were still on at about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, so it's very dark out. And we have had a little bit of rain. It's very nice to cool down all of the ground, the earth a little bit, because it has been rather warm. Bantarat says back for another thirsty Thursday. Thank you for joining us, Bantarat. And indeed, the elephants seem to be rather thirsty today. I think they've been quite selfish right now. So this giraffe, he looks really thirsty, like he really wants to come down for a drink. And these elephants are just hogging the waterhole and they're not even drinking. I guess that's kind of the advantage that comes with being the size of one of these big elephant bulls. Yeah, big male elephant can weigh, so like some of these bulls can weigh anything between about 4,000 to 6,000 kilograms. So that is definitely a lot of weight that they can push around. So it's no wonder there are such big bulls. Mr. Hue says, hi Kerry, today we have tea and cheesecake. Oh, that sounds delicious. Mr. Hue, tea and cheesecake, not a bad snack. I am a huge tea fan, so any time is tea time. I feel like it's always a great little moment where you can just take a break from the day and also just sit around, have a chat, sit, watch Live at the Waterhole, and of course tea goes very well with a nice little snack on the side. I'm a huge rusk fan, so in South Africa we have got these rusks that are like very dehydrated, dried out biscuits that are delicious with all different kinds of ingredients, nuts, seeds, raisins. That is probably one of my favorite little treats to have in my cup of tea or morning coffee. So Johan is joining us. Johan says, hi Kerry and friends. Catherine has also just tuned in. Hi Kerry and whoever is in FC. We are delighted to have you all with us today. I'm wondering, this big elephant bull on the left, he does look quite familiar. I'm sure I have seen him here at the waterhole before. So folks, today we are going to have a little bit of a birding day. We had a nice informal birding day yesterday. We were not out to break any records, but we got about 18 birds for the day yesterday. Some very special birds as well. We got a Lana falcon over at Safari Hook in Namibia, and we also got a slaty egret in the Kalahari of Botswana. So some bird lifers were definitely ticked off some lists yesterday. Oh, this elephant is not chuffed. So I will be keeping a list today, but yeah, we are just going to enjoy whatever is in front of us, and while we are doing that, if there are any birds around, I'll definitely take note of those birds. Moonlight at Midnight sends through a comment. Morning, Kerry. Looking forward to today's sunny wanderings. Rain here in the UK, so moonlight at midnight. Shame, I hope that you are not too bogged down in that rainy weather over in Mud Island. Oh, here's another big elephant bull that's just come to the waterhole. Look at his tusk. Shame, he's got a bit of a broken tusk on the left hand side. Looks like quite a large bull, this guy. His trunk, he does have quite a narrow kind of trunk at the end there. It's interesting how you notice all these slight differences in these individuals. These small differences can help us to identify different individuals with these big elephants as well. You see this big boy on the left. He's got a very impressive set of tusks. Seem to be a little bit offset. He's also got a few tears in his ears here. And our giraffe are desperately trying to come down for a bit of a drink. So over in the distance behind our giraffe there, I think we have some ring-necked doves that could have been at this waterhole before the elephants arrived and very rudely chased them away. It's like a standoff between these two big male giraffe and the elephants. Unfortunately, I think the elephants will always be the kind of winners when it comes to being challenged. But these giraffe are desperately thirsty. And they've been patiently waiting, but the elephants are just hogging this waterhole. Oh, we've got another giraffe also joining on the right here. So we've had a few female giraffe in this area the last couple of days. That I think there's one female that might be in estrus, or a few females that are in estrus, because these male giraffe have been persistently following these female giraffe around. So female giraffe will always wait for the biggest and strongest male giraffe. So when she first starts cycling, going into her estrus cycle, which can normally last a couple of days, she will be followed by quite a few younger male giraffe, but she'll always be waiting for the bigger males that have better genes, genetics, in order to mate with them. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Lentor and see what else is happening at one of our other locations. Oh, have a look what we have here, folks. An eland. I don't think I've ever seen an eland here at Lentor. We've also got our troop of baboons. My goodness. So we had a troop of vervet monkeys that was at this location yesterday. We were really well entertained by the vervet monkeys. But yeah, great to see a big male eland coming down to the waterhole. Darkmane Lover has sent through a comment. Darkmane Lover says, cinnamon tea with a cheese Danish while watching live at the Waterhole show. Oof, Darkmane Lover, that sounds delicious. I've got a real soft spot for pastries, I must say. And I just discovered a new pastry shop just around the corner from my house that sells the best chocolate croissants I have ever had in my entire life. And they also have very good Chelsea buns as well. So I need to stay very far away from that place because it's very tempting with all the little goodies and treats you can find out there. Derek has sent through a comment. Morning, Kerry. I hope you're keeping well. Currently, Derek has a cup of coffee this morning. Another cold day in the UK. Yes, Derek, I believe you're having a lot of rainfall in Mud Island over in the UK. So keep warm. Lucy has also sent through a comment. Good evening all. A cup of coffee and maybe a chocolate biscuit. Ooh, chocolate biscuit. That sounds rather delightful. Sarah from the UK is also joining us. Sarah says, morning Kerry, catching up with the morning sunrise drive. Yesterday after watching live at the Waterhole, Dominic took your birding list to over 300 birds. That is very exciting. Sarah, I remember yesterday on live at the Waterhole, you were mentioning that you were trying to get your bird list to be 300. So congratulations on getting your bird list to 300. Very, very exciting. I think it deserves a bit of a celebration. Do you think, Sarah, you deserve a little treat with your coffee today? Oh man, so really cool to see what comes down to these waterholes. So Lentore has been very impressive the last couple of months. It's amazing what comes to this waterhole. I know during the day most of the comings and goings are your vervet monkeys, baboons, eland. There's a few very big elephants that come to this waterhole as well. But at night, Lentore just comes alive with all the action at this particular waterhole. They've got striped hyenas. I've seen videos of 3 striped hyenas interacting at this waterhole. The striped hyenas, there was lots of genet action. There was actually one day, there was a genet and an owl that were interacting. It was very strange, very unusual. Of course, you have serval, caracal, lions, and of course, lots of rosettes. The leopards, there are a few resident leopards in this area that also come down for a drink at night. The photos that come out from Lentore, this hide, are incredible. So if you're ever on safari staying in the area, I would highly recommend booking at least 2 nights and spending a good 5 or 6 hours each night just sitting at this hide and waiting to see what comes down. You'll get some incredible wildlife photos at this hide. Just like this. Look at this impressive male eland. Mercedes Bean says, greetings Wild Earth crew and chatters, happy Thirsty Thursday. Unfortunately, I've eaten already, so I just have the last of my soda. Maybe I'll have some tea once it's done. Mercedes Bean, I hope you enjoy your cup of tea. Riley is also sending a question. First time seeing eland here. Yeah, Riley, it's also my first time seeing eland here at this particular location. I was mentioning earlier, besides obviously the olive baboons and your vervet monkeys, the only other antelope I think I've seen here before, bushbuck, common duiker maybe, kudu, but I've never seen eland. Lovely to see some new visitors to the waterhole as the troop of baboons just very calmly watches this eland moving off. They really do take over, baboons. Look how they've completely taken over this waterhole. So unfortunately, because the baboons have taken over and are currently invading this waterhole, should we say, I don't think we have much hope for finding any little birds or birds coming down. So baboons can be predators for a lot of bird species out there, especially your ground dwelling birds. So most birds will stay very well clear of a chakma baboon or an olive baboon. It can be quite nasty little predators. Look at these guys. Isn't this too cute? See, they've got their eyes peeled. They're watching very keenly to make sure that they don't get caught off guard by any predators. Such expressive little faces, these baboons. For some reasons why this waterhole, I feel like, is such a special photographic place is because a lot of the reflections, I think some of the best photos I've seen from this hide, they pick up on the reflections in the water. So I think a lot of these hides that are eye level do make for a really great photo, especially if you can get a bit of a reflection going in the water there. Sometimes it's even difficult to see which is the image or which is the actual animal and which is the reflection in the water. So this female baboon looks like she is in season, just as we were speaking earlier about the giraffes. The female baboons also go into season and develop quite a, shall we say, flamboyant looking backside, which attracts the males. The males are very much attracted by the females' rather unusual looking backside, which then will kind of indicate to the males but the females are ready for mating. Mary Lawton has sent through a comment. Hi Kerry, watching from Brisbane Airport Lounge en route back to a freezing England after 3 weeks away in New Zealand. Oh Mary, I hope that you had a great trip. Nice to pass some time watching live at the waterhole. But yeah, I hope you had some good weather in New Zealand as well. 3 weeks, that sounds like a great amount of time to spend in New Zealand. It's such a beautiful country. I have a best friend that's in New Zealand and I'd love to visit her. They've got some incredible hiking, beautiful landscapes. It's a very special country. Darkmane Lover says these baboons are enjoying this waterhole, and indeed, Darkmane Lover, these baboons are enjoying their midday relaxing moments here at the waterhole with us on Live at the Waterhole. So Catherine says she can't wait to leave the cold winter weather behind. Catherine, I'm sure you are very excited about getting out of your very cold German weather. I'm excited to have some cool weather too. It's been very, very hot here in Johannesburg, so it's like interesting how the weather does change in different locations and different areas. You do get kind of enough of too much extreme weather, too much cold, too much heat. That's why baboons super adaptable to different weathers, different environments, and different climates. So ornamental owl sent through a comment saying nice footage. Oh yes, ornamental owl, we've got lots of action here. There was some impala walking behind these baboons, and looks like we have some very young mischievous baboons that are getting into a little bit of a tiff. So Ari has sent through a comment. It is here, a white world through snow. Folks, let's head back across to Eldonyo, see what else is happening in Kenya. Oh my goodness, seems like we've got even more elephant bulls that have just arrived at the waterhole. Peter Marin sends a comment. Hi Kerry, always like to see the baboons. Yes Peter, we have been very blessed with the baboons the last couple of days. We've had lots of primate action, lots of baboons. We had a troop of olive baboons the other day walking right past us here at Eldonyo. Yesterday we had some chakma baboons over at Lintore. Definitely makes for good entertainment. Oh, it seems like these two big boys are sizing each other up a bit. The body language is changing a little bit with these boys. Amazing how there's definitely more than enough space for all of these elephant bulls to share the watering hole, but the minute one or two of them start to have an altercation or an argument, or someone might have done something to upset another bull, then you realize how very quickly a waterhole can be cleared. That's definitely all part of the hierarchy and dominance displays of these male elephants. So it's a very important part of their social structure is to abide by these hierarchies that these males do hold. And when the hierarchy is not respected, that's when altercations can occur. LEPR is commenting on the amazing size of some of these elephant tusks. So yeah, it's incredible, LEPR, how some of these elephants have the most amazing tusks. So we've got lots of elephants in Africa within different regions that luckily some of the gene pools have been preserved and passed down from generation to generation, where you still get some of these tuskers and super tuskers. And that's why it's so important to protect these large elephants, in order that their genes can be passed down from one generation to the next. Whereas, for example, if we linked across to Namibia, even in Botswana, you notice a lot of those elephants there have much shorter tusks, so it could be a gene related to their genes. Maybe most of the elephants in those regions have smaller tusks, but also the environment, the climate, and what they feed on. So I find in areas like Botswana and Namibia, where it's very hot, and elephants, obviously food is quite scarce, so elephants spend a lot more time utilizing their tusks, wearing them down, breaking them and chipping them. And obviously in Namibia it's very hot, so that does cause a lot more cracking and chipping in the elephant's tusks, resulting in much smaller little tusks that those elephant bulls have. See this big bull here, we're just talking about chipping and cracking in their tusks. So have a look, this elephant on the right, it's got very nice long even tusk on the left, but his other tusk on the right looks like it has possibly been broken off. Their tusks do break off in the bush quite a lot, these elephants, while moving through vegetation, manipulating vegetation as well. But Tembe Elephant Park also has a very healthy population of elephants that have very long tusks. And also I feel like there's a lot more food in Tembe Elephant Park for these elephants, so they don't necessarily need to use their tusks as much. Alrighty folks, why don't we link across to Lentor, see what our baboons are up to. Oh my goodness, isn't this such a cool sighting? Little baby baboon suckling. It looks like he's got little pixie ears. Look at those baboon's ears, my goodness, how cool is that? What a
Would you like to know what an elephant's favourite food is? You could ask me questions like that in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive from the heart of Africa. Over here. Watch Safari Live and connect with nature.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed colour.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature, live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
180 days. I feel like he just fell asleep, but then he just almost fell and caught himself again. Now he's waking up. This baboon, I think he must have had a late night because he looks rather tired. And the newborn little olive baboons can normally weigh anything between about 800 grams to 1 kilogram. So that's about 5 to 7% of a female olive baboon's weight. As we know, most of these little baboons are born completely black with very pink little faces. So Johan sends a comment, "This guy is so funny." Yes, Johan, I feel like, as my father would say, this little baboon looks like an owl on day shift. It looks like he spent the whole night up and now he's struggling to stay awake. Desperate for the weekend to come so he can catch up on some rest. So these little baby baboons do have a very strong grip. They can cling to their mother's bellies and cling to their fur while she's moving and feeding through different areas while the troop is foraging. And generally most primates do have quite high milk that is very high in proteins. It's very rich milk, and that does help to keep the little one very close to their mother. Alrighty folks, let's head back across to Tembe and see what's happening there. What a lovely scene that was. You don't see that very often, a tiny little baby baboon suckling from his mother. But we are back here in Tembe Elephant Park. It's our first time seeing Tembe for the day. I feel like Tembe Elephant Park almost always just has elephants. It's like the perfect sanctuary for elephants. Looked pretty much the same yesterday. We had lots of elephants moving through. I'm trying to see if we can find any more birds that might be flying around or hanging around in this particular area. We had some woolly neck storks at this location yesterday and some hardy-dar ibises. I'm not seeing too much of a movement in this area. I know last year this very big tree kind of center left of the screen, it looks like it could be maybe a jackalberry tree. Used to have some nesting weavers, southern masked weavers. Not seeing any weavers nesting recently though. Have a look at these elephants. I think Tembe must, especially around this pan, must have a lot of minerals in these soils. That's why these elephants have formed all of these little mud wallow puddles around the pan, is because one, they want to have access to that muddy water to splash on their bodies, but must have something to do with the mineral rich soils and that they have in this particular region. I think I saw a barn swallow which is just flying just around the elephant here, which is quite common for this area. You often get barn swallows flying around, coming to have a drink also down at the waterhole. The melanistic marble, yes indeed, it is starting to look a little bit drier here at Tembe Elephant Park. Although it's still quite nice and lush and green, and this pan seems to have filled up with water quite a bit. There's a lot of overflow of water on each side of the pan here. So generally Tembe Elephant Park does have year-round rainfall. They have some slightly drier months and slightly wetter months. So the drier months are normally from May to September. But it's one of our locations on the Africamp circuit that is mostly green throughout the year, although it does get dry during certain seasons. So when water is scarce, so that's when elephants and other wildlife will gather at these bigger water holes. And sightings can be a little bit more predictable within this park, as well as a lot of other parks, because once all the smaller waterholes dry up, animals will be forced to go and use the more prominent waterholes that carry water throughout the year. So generally also most of the wet season in Tembe Elephant Park is between October and April. So it seems like the rains here in Tembe do arrive a little bit earlier than some of our other locations in South Africa. The landscapes within this region do stay mostly lush and green, and that's what makes this a perfect birding destination. David Zulu is asking about how many gallons of water can an elephant drink per day. So I was just researching earlier about Tembe Elephant Park and what are the major times. So in different areas, elephants have different times that they like to come down to drink. So for Tembe Elephant Park, mostly it's been recorded that elephants will come down to drink between 11 and 3. But it seems like across southern Africa or across Africa, when it starts heating up, that's when elephants will be triggered to try to find water. Midday, early afternoon, or late afternoon, rushing down to the waterholes before the day ends. Generally, an adult elephant or big elephant bull can drink about 20 to 50 gallons of water a day, or that's around 70 to 180, 190 liters of water every single day. And their trunks can hold between 10 to 11 liters at one time. Isn't that crazy how they can soak up so much water and hold it within their trunk? It's just amazing, these elephants. It's a bit of a paradise for them here. They're really enjoying themselves. They can come down for a drink. There's lots of shade as well, nice shady trees for them to rest during the day. Now there's an abundance of food available as well, and their little mud wallow puddles. So Johan has sent through a comment. Apparently Johan is working hard, but at least you can watch today. Thank you for joining us, Johan, even though your work life does get in the way of your wild earth life, but always great that you can still watch in the background. I think that's most of my grandparents, as they always have Wild Earth and Live at the Waterhole on playing as they potter around and go about their day. And then I might get a message here and there, "Oh, Kiri, are you on Live at the Waterhole today? I think I heard your voice." Or when I'm back on the live locations. It's always great. Great to have some wildlife just playing in the background. Hey, big boy. Where are the birds? Looking to see, and I'm not seeing many birds out here today. It's a bit of a quiet birding day. Normally at the water's edge here we've got some little three-banded plovers, maybe an African jacana, but there's not too much action with the birds today. Lots of elephants though. Laksan Chisenga has sent through a comment. Good to see that our elephants have adequate food and water to keep them going as seen. So Laksan, yes, it is always great to see during the green season enough food and water to go around for all the animals. I know during the dry season in most countries in southern Africa it does get a bit sparse with regard to food for these animals. Alright folks, well, speaking of birds, let's head across to Lentor, see if there's any birds waiting for us. Ooh, what do we have here? Looks like we've got a bare-faced go-away bird, folks. Oh my goodness, how epic. We haven't seen one of these guys for a while. I think my first time I ever saw a bare-faced go-away bird was at Lentor, but it's been a long time since I've seen one. Wow! So So the bare-faced go-away bird, you saw the very prominent white color on the front of its chest there. Got the black bare face shield, and they got these epic little mohawks. How cool. This was one of the birds on my list before I went to the Masai Mara that I wanted to see, as a bare-faced go-away bird. I never got a decent photo, but this is an epic sighting here. I'm happy to add this bare-faced go-away bird to our list for the day. These guys look like they've been busy feeding today. Have a look at their chest pouches. They've got a little pouch on the front there that looks like they have been busy rummaging in the dirt, looking for some food. So they have quite a varied diet. They'll feed on, they're mostly fruit eaters. They do love fruit, but they'll feed on quite a variety of different foods, mostly including fruit. So Pamela has sent through a question about our bare-faced go-away birds. Apparently they look like paintbrushes. Indeed they do, Pamela. Right folks, our go-away birds have disappeared unfortunately, but let's head across to one of our other locations to see what else is out there today. Oh wow folks, so we've just linked across to Camelthorn Farmstead here in Botswana, and we have some cattle egrets that look rather busy in the grass. Looks like it's a grooming hour for the cattle egrets. Very excited about our bare-faced go-away bird sighting. Johan says, I love these birds, and indeed Johan, I do love these birds. Pamela, I never thought that the bare-faced go-away birds look like a paintbrush, but now that you mention it, they really do look like flying paintbrushes. Such whimsical birds, the go-away birds. I do love the go-away birds in East Africa. They're a lot more vibrantly coloured than our grey go-away bird here in Southern Africa. So talking about egrets, we'll keep an eye out if there's any other birds here, but yesterday in Botswana, in the Kalahari, we had a slaty egret sighting. That was pretty awesome. He was a bit of a mystery bird that seemed to confuse me a bit. I thought he was a black heron. Slaty egrets and black herons are quite similar, so we'll also keep a lookout for our slaty egret. But great morning to see these cattle egrets here. They mostly look the same size, but we're going to just double check and make sure there isn't maybe an intermediate egret hiding somewhere in this little flock of cattle egrets. So I feel like mostly cattle egrets, they occur in small flocks, small little groups, but I have seen on a few occasions in some areas, I've seen in the Congo before, as well as in Zambezi National Park, occasionally they'll gather in huge flocks of anything between 70 to 80 birds all in one flock, and then I think it's for protection and safety. That's when they'll move into open grassland areas, and they'll just be in this area moving on the ground looking for food. But they don't like to do this alone, maybe because of safety, so there's been more safety in numbers, but they will move into these grassland areas in quite large flocks for feeding purposes. But it's strange because they'll stay in one area looking quite lost for a few days and then move off. Obviously mostly associated with large game. They like to feed on all the little insects, crickets, grasshoppers, and any little creeping, crawling creatures in the ground that might be disturbed by your larger herbivores. I keep looking and checking. Maybe there's one intermediate egret amongst this flock somewhere, or the great white egret as well. So cattle egret, the intermediate egret, and the great white egret, all quite similar, but you can see the difference obviously in the length and shape of the neck, their size, as well as bill color and leg color, same as with a lot of the herons. You can just imagine sitting at this height right now with my binoculars, scanning, looking for any birds. Looking in these thick patches of reeds. Maybe there's a black crake hopping about, or African jacana, male carrying some chicks. Oh, blacksmith lapwing on kind of at the base of this water source here. Do not look very busy today, these cattle egrets. Yesterday we had a cattle egret that was in full breeding plumage, a male. So it's interesting to see the males when they transition into their breeding colours. So I think there's one male here. So the male that's furthest away from us, they get a bit of a honey coloured or rufous coloured crown, as well as on their rump will also be a bit of a rufous honey colour. Oh, there we go. There's our African jacana. I thought this place looks like a perfect habitat for an African jacana. There must be one somewhere around here. Such long legs, the African jacanas. See, he's eating away here at the water's edge. Righty folks, why don't we link across to the Serengeti? Ooh, we've got our woodland kingfisher again. So he's been a regular on the show. We've been seeing him almost every day. They are quite territorial birds, these woodland kingfishers. So generally you'll find them in the same area when they do move into your region, because they are a migratory bird. He looks like he's got a little bit of leftover of some creature's wing. Obviously some leftovers from his last meal. They're such vibrantly coloured little birds. So ornamental owl says, I love more ordinary birds as well as the exotic ones. So ornamental owl, yes, sometimes it is nice to appreciate your more common birds. I mean, they might be there all the time, but that's what I love about some of these shows, is we get to take a closer look to some species that you might generally overlook. I mean, look at this woodland kingfisher. Isn't he beautiful? I think my favorite features of this woodland kingfisher, obviously besides that vibrant blue color, is he's got interesting black markings around his eyes, and then his two-tone bill, red and black. Johan was commenting on the birds in Botswana at Camel Thorn, saying, I love these birds. We've also got a question from Mike. Mike says, we see these guys so often, we need to name him, or this particular bird. Yes, Mike, I feel like we do need to name this woodland kingfisher. So if we have any name suggestions, please feel free to send through any name suggestions you have. I've never named a woodland kingfisher before, or a kingfisher, so I don't quite know what to call him, but if any of our viewers have some suggestions, send them through. Alright folks, why don't we head across to Onyo and see what else is happening out there. So it seems like we've still got a very busy waterhole here at Oldonyo. Lots of elephant bulls still around, and some zebra have decided to take their chances and come for a drink. We've got some comments still coming through about our woodland kingfisher. Olio says, what a stunning picture, you never see them so close. So indeed, Olio, woodland kingfishers, I feel like the most beautiful birds in nature are normally the most shy and skittish. They often hang back, difficult to see them. Punk has sent through a comment saying he looks angry. Yes indeed, Punk, our woodland kingfisher. Depends on how you look at him. He could have a bit of an angry tone to him. Stephanie is also sending through a name suggestion for our woodland kingfisher. We could call him Woody. So that is one of our first name suggestions. If anyone has any other name suggestions, please feel free to send them through. We are trying to find a name for our resident woodland kingfisher over at Serengeti. Ula has sent through a comment. 4 elephants and 2 zebra. Wow. So yes, Ula, we probably had about 5. And there's also a giraffe standing under this acacia tree on the far right. So we also had some giraffe here earlier. We did have some warthogs that came to join the show, so that was great to see some little warthogs. Johan has sent through his name suggestion for our kingfisher. Johan says, shall we call him Gilbert the Kingfisher? I will take note of some of these names and we'll see what name might fit this kingfisher the best. I was just thinking, I have actually named a kingfisher before. It was a chocolate-backed kingfisher that was nesting on one of our walkways while I was working in West Africa, and we named him Lint because of his chocolatey colour and chocolate-backed kingfisher name. But yeah, unfortunately, he didn't hang around for too long. But we would see the male and female together. So it was Lint 1 and Lint 2. Not very creative, but I kind of like those names. So far we've got our name suggestions as Woody and Gilbert the Kingfisher. If anyone else has any name suggestions, please feel free to send them through. What are these elephants up to? The giraffe are patiently waiting in the shade of the tree. I can't decide. They did come for a drink earlier, the 2 males. One actually got into the waterhole, one of the giraffe, even though the elephants are close by. And he decided that he was tired of waiting for the elephants to move out of the way. And he was just going to have a drink. So, ornamental owl, I agree with you 100%. It's amazing that the beauty of nature, or sometimes it just leaves you in awe. What a special scene this is. Even though these elephants are not drinking too much, they're just finding a lot of calm and tranquility standing next to the water. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Stony Point, see what else is happening over in Cape Town. Oh, and we have a penguin that is sitting here. Another bird to add to our list for the day. The African penguin, or formerly known as the jackass penguin. He looks like he's quite busy giving himself an early morning groom. So we've got some more name suggestions coming through for our kingfisher. Sarah from the UK said Kingsley could be quite a good name. Kingsley the Kingfisher, which is quite charming. We've also got a name suggestion from Catherine. Catherine says Samawati, which is Swahili for a blue as the sky. Oh, I do like that one, Catherine. That is quite a good name suggestion there, Samawati. I think we've got some decent name suggestions. So just now, I think we'll have to put together a bit of a poll and see which name would be the best name for our woodland kingfisher friend. Dark Mane Lover also says, I guess the Ellies don't like sharing the waterhole with the zebra. They chase them off. Zebras get thirsty too. So Dark Mane Lover, elephants are big bullies and they don't like sharing the waterhole with anyone, unfortunately. Derek has also sent through a comment. Do the elephants see well in the dark, and have they got good night vision, Kerry? So Derek, elephants don't have the best vision at night. They can see a lot better than us humans can, but no, they don't have the best vision at night. So generally, that's why elephants can be a little bit nervous at night. In general, elephants don't have very good eyesight, so especially at night, they'll be a little bit more compromised. So mostly, that's why elephants, you can hear a lot of trumpeting, vocalizing at night, especially at watering holes. Stephanie says, yay, penguins. Yes, Stephanie, it is great to see a penguin. I'm just imagining, I would love to be sitting on this beach right now in Stony Point, having maybe a croissant and a nice fresh cup of coffee, sitting on the beach watching the penguins. That would be such a lovely way to spend a morning, I think. What is he up to? Have a look, he's grooming himself so well. So he's probably taking a bit of a break from the fishing. I guess this kingfisher might have had quite a busy day out and about, fishing away.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Whoop! Woo! This is action-packed.
Would you like to know at what age a buffalo calf gets its horns? These are questions that you can ask me in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
deep down in the water in order to catch their food. Like the emperor penguins can dive over 100 meters. That's probably around 1,500, 1,600 feet that they can stay underwater for up to 20 minutes. Isn't that an interesting adaptation that they have to being able to hunt so deep under the water for such a long period of time? 20 minutes, shucks, I think I struggle. I can maybe do 3 or 4 minutes, but 20 minutes, that's quite long. I mean, a hippo can on average stay under the water between 5 to 8 minutes. I've recorded a hippo holding its breath for 8 minutes, but 20 minutes under the water, that is quite impressive. These penguins do form monogamous couples, pairs. Alright folks, why don't we link across to Timber Plains? Oh, look what we have here, another epic bird. This is a white-fronted bee-eater. Oh, I do miss these white-fronted bee-eaters. I recently did a trip to Zimbabwe and we saw a lot of these white-fronted bee-eaters along the Zambezi River. So it is, I'd say, one of the more common bee-eater species in Zimbabwe. But I don't see them as common, would I say, in most of the parks and reserves I've worked in here in South Africa. Alright folks, so seeing as we're with a bird, we have got a poll that is up to name our kingfisher friend over in Serengeti. So the name options, if you'd like to go across and vote for your favorite name, our name options are Woody, Gilbert the Kingfisher, Kingsley the Kingfisher, or Samawati. So please go ahead and vote on the poll for what you think we should name our Serengeti kingfisher. We do see him quite often. In fact, I think I've been live at the waterhole. I think this is probably like my 4th day or 3rd day this week, and we see him pretty much every day. So please go ahead and vote for what you think we should name that very charming kingfisher. Oh, check out this bee-eater. See a very special modified long bills, and that is because they catch most of their prey on the wing while flying. So they've got very, very aerodynamic little birds, very fast, especially if they want to catch their meal while flying. Just like our penguin was busy grooming, he's also grooming himself, and you can see where he gets his name from here, the white-fronted bee-eater. Got a little bit of white underneath his bill as well as on his forehead there. I feel like he has quite a variety of different colors, this little bee-eater. So let's count how many colors he's got. So he's got black, white, red, a bit of brown. I think there's some green in there as well. So he's got probably about 5. Oh, and blue. Look at his underparts are also a bit blue. So he's got about 6 different colors. That is almost as much as the most colorful bird in Africa, our lilac-breasted roller, which has 7 colors. So this little bee-eater is not doing too badly in the color department if he has 6 different colors. How amazing. So mostly catch bees and flies, any flying insects, flying ants. They really enjoy catching those alates, those flying ants on the wing. If they do catch a bee, normally what they'll do is they'll return to their same perch and they'll normally flick the bee in order to remove that nasty stinger so they don't get stung on the way down. This would be such a perfect shot for a photo now. The sunlight is just lovely, almost like a bit of dappled lighting on him. As long as you've got light on the face, yeah, you can catch that glisten in his eye as he turns his face into the light. Dark mane lover, yes, this is a very beautiful bird. And I didn't ever think of counting how many colors are on a white-fronted bee-eater. So, yeah, amazing that he's got 6 different colors on his very little body. So I'd say this white-fronted bee-eater is most likely a medium-sized bee-eater. Your smallest being like your little bee-eaters and your forest bee-eaters, and your larger bee-eaters being, of course, your European bee-eaters. Carmine bee-eaters are much larger. Boehm's bee-eater, much larger than this white-fronted bee-eater. Bee-eaters definitely are my favorite family of birds. Let's head back across to Lentor, folks, see what else is happening at Lentor. Ooh, look what we have here. Red-billed waxbill. Wow, isn't this cool? So we get the African waxbill here. Just going to confirm quickly, but I'm pretty sure this is the red-billed waxbill, so or firefinch. Have a look at him. Isn't he cool? Yeah, looks like, as you can see, he's quite prominent in the color of the red that is on his bill. So red-billed firefinch, male. Females are a little bit light in color, or mostly brown with little touches of red. So I feel like we more commonly see the African firefinch at this particular location. So it's nice to see the red-billed firefinch coming down for a drink. It was quite busy earlier with all the baboons around. There was lots of monkey business, lots of action with the baboons. So when that does happen, it makes it a little bit too busy for the smaller birds to come down. So when the waterholes are quiet and there's no movement, no action from the large game, that is when is the perfect opportunity for these smaller birds to come down for their chance to have a drink as well. Hopefully there'll be some more females coming down soon. Normally occur in pairs or small flocks. They're mostly a resident species, so they don't migrate, and you can get them in quite a variety of different habitats, which include grasslands, savannas, as well as cultivated areas. So they'll feed on the ground, as you can see, because of their very small body size, tiny little bills. They are mostly seed eaters. So they'll fly into trees when frightened or being dispersed. Folks, we're going to have our poll up for a few more minutes to name our kingfisher over at Serengeti. Don't forget to go across to our poll and vote for which name you think we should name that very charming kingfisher over at Serengeti. Come on, little guy, where are your friends? Normally it'll take one individual coming down, a bit of a sacrifice. Pigeons and African grey parrots do it as well. They'll all flock and congregate and gather and collect like a storm brewing. 1 or 2 individuals will come down to the waterhole. That's why there's no others coming down. There's 2. The baboons are still here. So obviously this is one very brave little firefinch, but the others are not taking a chance to come down while these baboons are here. But yeah, the African grey parrots and the African green pigeons, it's my favorite thing. Probably favorite bird spectacle in the world is watching these 2 different bird species all coming down to have a drink at the bays in these open areas in the forest of West Africa. We've still got our bare-faced go-away birds. They're still up in the tree, also waiting for the activity down at the waterhole to die down a bit so that they can come back maybe for another drink. Maybe they're hopping around feeding on fruit as well, so they'll also feed on a variety of different flowers. Maybe that's what they're looking for up in these acacia trees. These go-away birds are known to feed on flowers as well. He's not showing us his best side right now. So it looks like a small flock. There's probably at least 3 or 4 of them up on this tree. They do normally move around in flocks, anything between about 2 individuals to 5 or 10 individuals. I find they're not in as big flocks as you'll find the grey go-away birds here in southern Africa. So these particular barefaced go-away birds are mostly found in eastern Africa, the Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, as well as Ethiopia. It can be found in dry savannas, woodland areas, forest edges, as well as gardens, normally associated with acacia trees or baobab trees, and that could be because of the flowers or the fruit. And besides fruit, flowers, they'll also feed on leaves and insects. Oh, yeah, our little baby baboon. I wonder if this is, yeah, probably our little baboon that was snoozing very hard while he was suckling earlier from his mother. Or it could be a younger one. I think this one looks like he's a little bit lighter in colour. Hey, little guy. We had a baby baboon earlier that was suckling and he was falling asleep. He looked like he's had not slept last night and he was exhausted, so he kept falling asleep while suckling. It looked like this little baboon just put his foot into some wet mud and then decided that, oh no, I don't like that very much, and off he went. So we've got a question here from Imzukulu Mplanga, is asking, can you tell how old it is? So some of these little baby baboons, normally when they're born within the first few weeks, he's got mud on his hands. They're normally very dark in colour, very black, and have pink faces. So they normally keep that colour for about the first 2 to 3 weeks when they're very small. Oh, this is our little baboon, and I tell you why. Look at those very strange pixie-shaped ears of his. So this particular little baboon, I'd say, is probably over a month old, because he's already lost that very black, matte black colour on his coat, and his face is no longer a little mouse pinky colour. So I'd say he's probably maybe 5 or 6 weeks. Oh, check, what is happening there? My goodness, look at that interaction, how unusual. It's like this other female mother just went and gave our little baboon friend a bit of a nibble on the cheek. Here we go, look at this little guy. So this little baboon, he's still got a pink face, still quite black. His fur, so he's probably less than a month old. Wow, how cute. So you can see the size difference between these two here. Look at them. Oh dear, I think she wants to swap babies. Maybe she's had enough of her very needy little one. So have a look at the difference with these olive baboons, folks. In southern Africa, we're more commonly used to seeing the chakma baboons. These olive baboons are a little bit smaller in size compared to our chakma baboons in southern Africa. And also the coats, if you have a look, these olive baboons seem to have quite thick olive coloured coats, where they get their name from, as well as the nasal ridge in olive baboons is very prominent, a lot more prominent than in the chakma baboons. Oh, this little one gonna come and try and have another drink, but I feel like this little baboon has like mud phobia. He does not want to get mud on his little paws, his little feet. Yeah, look, no, he's not chuffed with the whole mud situation. Baboons are just so entertaining. You can watch baboons for hours. Be completely entertained. For me, it's just how similar they are to us humans. Their facial expressions, their hands, their gestures, they're just a lot. They're very, very similar to us. A lot more similar than we give them credit for. You can see the big male baboon sitting up in the tree there. JF has sent through a comment. JF says, thank you for your comments and not leaving us to watch non-changing scenes for the viewers. Well done. I love the way you handle your sessions. Thank you, JF. Really glad that you enjoy watching live at the waterhole with us. I love having live at the waterhole. So normally I don't do live at the waterholes when I'm on my safaris, because Wi-Fi out in the bush is never a stable thing. It's actually a luxury. So when I'm not on safaris, that's when I try to book as many live at the waterhole sessions as I can. It always keeps my brain fresh, all the comments and questions that the viewers send through, but also just brings a little bit of the bush into my everyday life here in Johannesburg. So I really do enjoy just keeping a bit of bush scenery in your day, seeing what else is out there, keeping up to date with the locations, also seeing what everyone's up to on the drives and the live drives. And of course I do love watching the Africam videos and seeing what is happening at all the different Africam locations. You become quite connected, quite attached to all these very special and unique locations. And all the characters that we see, we do have a lot of the same characters at all of our locations, so it's nice when you can see a familiar face. Some elephants you might have recognized, and of course you never know when you might have a lucky day and maybe have an epic sighting or two. I've actually watched cheetah being born on live at the waterhole at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. I think that's probably one of my most special sightings here on live at the waterhole, was watching a baby cheetah being born. How special is that? Oh, we've got a dove. Hello. It looks like an emerald spotted dove, or maybe it's a tambourine dove. Could be tambourine. Let's have a look. What are you? Looks like emerald spotted, but we'll just have a double check. Hey, what are you? Very interesting looking little bird. Definitely had the spots on the outer side of his wing. I think he did have a black bill. Alrighty folks, why don't we link across to Oldonyo, see what's happening with our elephants. Oh, looks like we've still got quite a busy scene here at Oldonyo. We've got lots of elephant balls today. I think it's been a never-ending flow of elephants at Oldonyo, which is always good to see. But unfortunate for the giraffe and the zebra that have to wait their turn. Looks like we've got a very big elephant bull coming to join us on the right-hand side. Who is that? Have a look, folks. There's a very big elephant coming in. He's got one big tusk. Does he have two? No, I feel like he just has one tusk. His right tusk looks massive. I know there is a big elephant here with one tusk, Lobolo, I think his name is. If any of the viewers that know these elephants well can just confirm if this is Lobolo. So I know Lobolo is quite a young elephant bull in Kenya, but he has a massive, very big tusk. He's obviously lost his other tusk. and that was his biggest tusk that he did lose. He is quite well known to hang around with 1 ton, but yeah, maybe he's called Lobolo. Is it Lobolo? Is it not Lobolo? That would be very cool. I wonder what the other elephant bulls are going to do, if they're going to move off. Look at this impressive elephant. So folks, please, if I could have some assistance on an ID. I think this is Lobolo, the big elephant tusker, but I don't have any photos of him here on my ID kit to confirm. But that is who he looks like he could be. He's got quite a prominent groove in his white tusk as well, probably to help him feed. So Derek was asking a question about our baboons. Derek wanted to know, how do you tell the difference between male and female baboons? So Derek, with chakma and olive baboons, pretty much the same. Males are a lot bigger than the females, much bigger in their shoulders, necks, and of course have huge canines. And of course the female baboons, a lot smaller, a lot more petite in size. And of course the females, when they are in estrus, they do have quite enlarged and very pink vulvas. So that's a few ways we can tell the difference. Right folks, so we've got some results for our poll for our woodland kingfisher over at Serengeti, and a winner for the name for our woodland kingfisher is Kingsley. So Kingsley the kingfisher will take the cake for the day, and that is the new name for our kingfisher. So spread the word, at least our little kingfisher does have a name. Got some more comments coming through from A Moonlight at Midnight. Says, love watching baboons. I think Steve Falconbridge has been teaching them about tree hugging. Definitely they Moonlight at Midnight. I think they've been watching Steve on the live drives, getting some advice on tree hugging. Eagle Lover also says, hi Kerry, how does weather influence safari bookings in various locations for guides? So Eagle Lover, I feel like the kind of culture and tradition of safari maybe 20-30 years ago is very different to how it is now. So before, in say the 1970s, 1980s, I might be mistaken, but if anyone wants to jump in, you're welcome. People mostly used to travel to, depending on what parts of Africa, but wherever you were focused on traveling to Africa, people would mostly go for the dry season. So dry season, like for example in southern Africa, your deep dry season, or when everything starts really drying up and wildlife starts improving in certain areas, is normally from July. June, July, August, September starts to get really hot. October, suicide month in some countries like Botswana, Zimbabwe and Zambia. And then of course into November, but by the end of November, December, the rains start coming, so tourism really starts dropping. That's in southern Africa, and then a lot of camps start closing. Of course this can be different from southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and nowadays you get a lot of people traveling for birds, so people that will travel in the wet season so that they can get better bird sighting. So the climate and weather does definitely have an impact on lodges and guides, high seasons and low seasons. But that's what's really nice nowadays, is you get some travelers that actually don't want to travel in the busy season, want to avoid the crowds and follow the flocks of birds. Alrighty folks, let's head back across to Lentor, see what's happening with our baboons. Oh, what do we have here? Looks like a little ground squirrel. And we were just chatting earlier about those reflections in the water and how this particular hide is famously known for getting amazing shots of animals coming down to drink and capturing their reflections in the water. Isn't this awesome? So there are a few resident squirrels that do roam around. So these are one of the ground squirrels that do roam around this particular waterhole. Torre. You can often see them coming down to have a drink while foraging, looking for food, climbing up the trees. You need to be very careful because there's a lot of predators out there that will snack on a little squirrel, birds of prey. They'll swoop in and love to have a squirrel for a snack, or apparently even Goliath herons. Tammy has sent through a comment. Tammy says, thank you for sharing this with me. I love elephants. They're beautiful. Yes, Tammy, elephants are very special. I'm still waiting to hear if any of our viewers know if that elephant was Lobolo, the famous one-tusked elephant. I'm pretty sure it was Lobolo. I got a screenshot. So, yeah, if anyone does know for sure if that big elephant we are watching at Aldonio is called Lobolo. Sarah from the UK says, thank you, Kerry, and all who voted. It's the name of my husband's grandson. Ah, that is very cool. Alright, folks, why don't we link across to Tau Lodge, see what else is happening at one of our locations we have not been to today.
My name is Amy, and behind the camera with me is Paul. And I mean, to be able to share it with all of you. Fingers crossed, and I'll make sure I wear my lucky leopard socks as well.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. I grew up mostly here in the Lowveld. I grew up here pretty much on the southern side of Kruger National Park, a place called Marlow Park, for most of my years. Something surprising about myself, I did play drums in a band for many years. Best sighting I presented, we found Palumba and the two cubs, and the cubs are just way big.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature, live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
At Tau, and what else did we have that was in season? We had something else that's in season, being followed by the male. Oh, shelled ducks, folks. Have a look at these naughty little shelled ducks. They're blending in so well with the Egyptian geese. I feel like they do that on purpose. They know that they can blend in really well with the Egyptian geese. So there's two shelled ducks there. Quite interesting because maybe it's a juvenile female, so the males have grey on their head and the females have white, but this shelled duck has grey and white. Very strange. Maybe he's also kind of non-gender, can't decide which gender he would like to pick today, so he decided to just be male and female today. Interesting. So these shelled ducks are mostly rusty coloured waterfowl, as we can see, very similar to the colors of Egyptian geese. Males have the grey necks and head, as I mentioned earlier, but the females are normally white. All I can maybe explain is that maybe it's a juvenile, like a young female, and she's still changing into her colors. I'm not too sure. So they are a species that is very well adapted to dry regions. My first sighting of a shell duck was in Namibia. So they can occur in very dry areas. They're very adaptable, but they do prefer to be in areas that have association with estuaries, maybe rivers, and they do normally like to have some sort of water, but they are quite highly adaptable species. So our shelled duck is bringing us in at species number 13 for the day. Yesterday we had 18 species. It's been 2 days of really lovely birding. Thank you to all of our viewers for joining in on our birding days. It's great to just see what you can find out there. That's always kind of the attitude I try to have on safari. We were chatting earlier about season and seasonality and how that affects the safari industry, guides. For me, I feel like there's also one factor that really affects how a safari goes, and it starts right from the beginning with your guests. If you have guests that arrive on safari with a checklist of 100 mammals that they want to see and 2,000 birds that they want to see, instantly that puts a lot of pressure not just on the guide, but also from the environment. It puts a lot of pressure. So I feel like I've had the best sightings with guests that I have that just come with an open mind. So whenever I go on safari, I always just have an open mind. I accept any experience that comes our way, and I'm always super grateful just to be there, to be in that location, and anything else that we see is a bonus from there. I promise you, I've seen so much more having that kind of attitude on safari rather than demanding from nature. Alright folks, well, let's go and check out our newly named kingfisher, Kingsley the kingfisher. So if you were not with us earlier in the show, this is our woodland kingfisher that has recently received a name. The woodland kingfisher is called Kingsley the kingfisher. So please feel free to share with any of the other guides that join you here on Live at the Waterhole. I'll probably share the information with them as well, but you can just let them know that this kingfisher now has a name, Kingsley the kingfisher. And as in his original name, woodland kingfisher, they do mostly prefer to occur in these woodland habitats, including savannas, forest edges, as well as gardens, anywhere near water. Oh, look, he's seen something. Maybe if we're lucky, he might catch something for us. Kingsley the kingfisher. As I mentioned earlier, most of the diet of these kingfishers, what they feed on, but they can feed on anything from grasshoppers, beetles, crickets, and even lizards and little frogs. Come on, Kingsley, catch us something. He looks like he is checking something out. Talking about Kingsley, I don't know if any of our viewers today have ever met Kingsley Holgate. He is definitely a true African explorer. I met him on his expedition going to the heart of Africa, which was in Congo, and met him and his son Ross and his whole expedition team. They are really amazing explorers. I do look up to people like that, man. Kingsley Holgate, he's got a giant Father Christmas beard. I love his beard. He's got a massive beard. But yeah, he's done some really great work in Africa, distributing mosquito nets to remote villages in areas where they struggle with malaria. They've done a lot of work, great work in Africa. Melanistic Marble said he is cute. Yes, Melanistic Marble, he is quite a cutie, isn't he? Look at those glossy black eyes of his and his very interesting color. So you want to catch this bird when he's flying, when he's in flight, taking off. That is a perfect moment to get a photo of that beautiful kingfisher, to see that bright blue color. Catherine is agreeing with me, the best mindset to have on attitude on safari. Alright folks, seeing as Kingsley has disappeared, let's head across to one of our other locations and see what else we can find today. So we are back at Stony Point, and we still have our little penguin, our African penguin that is sitting on a rock here. He looks like he's taking up the sunshine. I feel like most of the time I've been to Cape Town, you do have those days that you just want to sit on a warm rock and just soak up the sun a little bit, not move too much because of all the wind. So generally these size of these penguins, I know it's a bit difficult to comprehend his size, but normally they'll be about 60 to 70 centimeters or about 20 to 30 inches, their height. When they're standing up, and the weight of a little African penguin is anything between about 2 to 3 kilograms for a female, and for a male they can be up to 4 kilograms. So generally they I think we've got some more birds in the water. Could be a darter or a cormorant, something moving around in the water just behind. A very snuggly little penguin. So normally there's some areas at this location that we have watched these penguins nesting before. So they'll nest in burrows or kind of little scrapings in the sand or in the sides of a little bit of a rocky cave. It's a perfect place for these penguins to make their nests, and they'll normally have 1 to 2 eggs in a clutch, and both parents do take turns to feed as well as incubate the eggs. Mostly the breeding does take place of these penguins year round, but it will also depend on the area, seasonality, as well as weather conditions and availability of food. And as we saw earlier, maybe you can see now, he's got that pink patch just around his eye, and it's quite interesting, this little pink patch. It does help them to release excess heat from their bodies. You can see here it's very dense feathers, so they have waterproof feathers. It helps to keep their bodies insulated, especially in the very cold ocean waters, while they are out and about feeding and hunting. Alrighty folks, why don't we link across to Tortillas Camp? Alrighty, so we're here at Tortillas Camp, and we've got another bird to add to our list today, black-winged stilt. It looks like he's hunting. He looks like a juvenile. See, he doesn't quite have full adult colors on his neck. He's still got a bit of mottled grayish color, but he's busy feeding away. There are wading birds, these black-winged stilts. They'll spend a lot of their time in these shallow waters while looking for food. Look at those long legs of theirs. Oh, we got another bird just on the water there. Is it a juvenile? Could be a juvenile black-winged stilt. Oh, yep, there's another black-winged stilt. So again, juveniles are very mottledy and brown. They don't have those very striking, prominent black and white colors. So normally these black-winged stilts, what they'll be feeding for, they'll be looking for larvae, any aquatic little beetles or flies. And they'll also feed on small shrimps or water fleas, tiny snails, clams, mollusks. And it's great that they have those long legs of theirs for wading. Alright folks, let's link across to the Serengeti. Oh, we've got another little resident here at the Serengeti. So I feel like these are the two stars of our show here in the Serengeti, is our Gilbert, the kingfisher, as well as our little red-headed rock agama, or Spider-Man, the Spider-Man lizard. Oh, it looks like he's interesting. Actually looks like he's shedding his skin. Look, you can see his kind of scales are changing color. They're quite a territorial little lizards, so they will find their little rocks that they will guard very fiercely against any intruders. The females are a very different color to these males. So the males are a very striking blue, red, and as you can see a bit of pink on their underside. But most of these reptiles will obviously they'll go through a phase whereby they'll shed their new skin or shed their old skin so that they allow space for their new skin to form, and it is a very good indicator that they are healthy. So it helps remove parasites, dirt, and possibly any damaged tissue. You can see there the lighter skin that looks like it's been shed, as well as on his tail. So the skin is prone to getting injuries and infections, so the shedding can be very helpful to reboot, kind of immune system reboot, clean their skin, get rid of any unwanted parasites. Look at those little claws of his, very fierce little claws, perfect for catching their prey. The prey species mostly of these agama lizards, they'll feed on any other little insects and beetles. He has to be very aware and alert of what is happening around him. There's lots of predators out there that might want to capture this unsuspecting prey. So Eagle Lover has sent through a link about Lobolo the elephant, and it definitely looks like he is the one we saw earlier. So thank you so much to Eagle Lover for the information about our elephant. Lobolo, the one-tusked elephant. Hey little guy. So look at the front of his snout there, looks a little bit injured. Could have been from fighting with other males. Peter Meron says beautiful little lizard. So yes, Peter, I've had some viewers asking if these agamas are poisonous because of their vibrant color. So in nature, in the bush, a lot of things that are brightly or vibrantly colored can indicate some sort of toxin or poison, but that's mostly with regards to plants and fruit. So this guy, it's more of a indication to other males to stay away, that they are kind of prime individuals, males in their breeding season, as well as to the females to attract females. Darkmane Lover says lovely colors. Indeed, Darkmane Lover, look at his armored plating. He almost looks like he's armor plated. A very ferocious little creature. Imagine if you got these agamas that were maybe a few hundred times the size. They were massive, roaming the earth still. and back he comes. So you can see his little ear coverts there on the side of his face that are well protected with some little spines and spikes to prevent him being maybe attacked by any other male. So much more than what you would learn at school. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Alan. Homeschooling your children is never an easy thing to do, but yeah, so much to learn on Live at the Waterhole as well as the live safaris. They're linked across to Jackie's Pan, a great place to look out for some birds. Alright folks, let's head back across to Otonio. So we're back here at Otonio seeing what our large elephants are up to. I'm guessing our famous one Tusker Labolo, the elephant, he has probably disappeared. Apologies folks, I think you might have lost me for a moment, but we had a very special comment coming in here through from Alan Goldson Truman. Says, good morning team. We have to homeschool our little ones, and apparently your little daughter has learned so much from the school, from watching Live at the Waterhole, watching the show as opposed to being at school. Keep up the good work. So thank you so much, Alan Goldson. Yeah, it's amazing how much you can actually learn from nature, from being out in the wild, from watching wild animals, from watching wildlife. They teach us so much every day, and yeah, it's great for little kids and little ones to learn from the show. I mean, I learn every single day so much from all the naturalists, from the guides. I was catching up on the safaris yesterday. So alright folks, let's head back across to Stony Point to see what's happening with our little penguin over in Cape Town. We're just busy watching this little penguin. It's just so awesome listening to the sounds of the ocean. Just imagine. admiring this lush green grass that seems to be changing color, a little bit browner than what I would expect for this time of year, especially with all the rains that we have had in parts of South Africa, but still looks like a very fair amount of grass that we've been having. We had a question earlier from Alan Goldson, was asking about the difference between male and female elephants. Today we've only had male elephants on the show. Most of the waterholes in some of our locations, you might only have males coming to visit, but yeah, males are much larger than female elephants. Generally, you only get male elephant tuskers, although there are some rare cases of female elephants that might also have very long tusks, but generally male elephants much bigger, their heads are larger, tusks are thicker, body size, they can be even up to 2,000 kilograms more heavier than that of the females, and the head shape. So generally males have very flat foreheads, whereas the females have more narrow foreheads, or even pointy at the tip there. Got another bird to add to our list. We've got some southern masked weavers that are busy making their nests here. We were watching one of these weavers early in the week. Hello folks, apologies, we seem to be having some minor technical difficulties with our cameras today. Maybe it's the weather. Having these cameras out in the African bush is not easy. The elements do take their toll, but we are glad to be back with an elephant standoff. Seems like our floppy-eared elephant friend is wanting to take on some challenges. So we've got this elephant bull also on the right hand side. We were chatting earlier about elephants and how you can tell the difference between males and females and the head size, the tusks, so we can see all these features I was mentioning earlier. Male elephants more rounded forehead opposed to the females that have a pointier forehead. But yeah, it's just incredible. These elephant bulls seem to be having a bit of a standoff. There's a bit of aggressive body language going on.
Wild Earth Travel has a green season special just for South Africans. Explore Botswana's Okavango, a remarkable mosaic of delta and savanna teeming with wildlife. Stay in elegant, luxurious tented camps deeply connected to the wilderness. Discover the Okavango on exciting game drives and tranquil boat journeys. Share stories beneath the stars, remembering what it means to safari through Africa's wild south. Wild Earth Travel. We're waiting for your call.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
Can you hear that? The wild is calling.
Got a comment that came through from Pulani in Johannesburg. Says during the annual Serengeti migration in the packs of either wildebeest or zebra, how do they decide which direction needs to be taken? I mean, they travel in groups of hundreds of thousands. So Pulani, yes, I spent some time in the Masai Mara last year, and it was incredible to witness and watch these millions of wildebeest and zebra herds moving to the Serengeti. I mean, this is an annual event that takes place, one of the Africa's most incredible wildlife spectacles, where these wildebeest and impala, wildebeest and zebra move from Kenya into the Serengeti during the dry or when the rain starts, so that they can follow the grass. And this is a seasonal event. It's all in very instinctual. They'll be following the rainfall, the grass. When the grass is growing, they know that they need to have their calves, drop their calves in the Serengeti, and then once they have dropped their calves in the Serengeti in about January to March, then they move back into Kenya, also following the rainfall and the water, where the grass is greener. So it's amazing. It's all part of their natural instincts. Got some comments coming through from Darkman Lover. Says thank you Wild Earth, Africam and Kerry, and of course the Zoomies for a fantastic live at the Waterhole show. Great sightings indeed. I agree with you, Darkman Lover. Sarah has sent through a comment saying thank you Kerry, FC and Zoomies, very enjoyable show today. Johan has also sent a comment, thank you for a great show again Kerry. When will you be back? Johan, I'm not too sure when I'll be back live at the Waterhole. I think in February. I've got 1 or 2 days booked. Mr. Elemental says thank you again Kerry and Wild Earth crew. We all look forward to your return Kerry. Yes, Mr. Elemental, I think I have 1 day live at the Waterhole or 2 days live at the Waterhole, middle of February or somewhere around there, and then in March I will be back on screen at one of the Wild Earth locations on the safaris, on Safari Live. So look forward to you getting back into the game drive seat and joining you on the live safaris. It has been a great day today live at the Waterhole. Thank you folks for joining us, and there's no better way to end off a show than with some huge big elephant bulls having a big fight right in front of us. So from me and the rest of the Wild Earth crew folks, I just want to wish you a lovely weekend. See you next time.